When COVID came to Larimer County in March of 2020, businesses and schools began to close in an effort to keep our community healthy and safe. The effects on our community were swift and overwhelming, leaving many nonprofits strained in providing programs and services. With hundreds of these nonprofit agencies in Larimer County, United Way and the Community Foundation quickly established the Northern Colorado COVID-19 Response Fund.
At the Community Foundation, when crisis comes to town, when crisis draws near, we know partnership is the best place to start.
I think we both have a unique position in the community where we're taking philanthropist dollars and donations and directing them to impactful projects to high-performing nonprofits that are looking at system-level change as well as today's urgent needs. And I think with the Community Foundation of Northern Colorado and United Way of Larimer County's rich history in partnering together during crises, we had great foundations to start from.
In the first 2 weeks after the fund was established, the United Way and the Community Foundation distributed over $200,000 to 15 different nonprofit agencies across Larimer County. The first round of funding went to organizations addressing critical community needs.
When we opened up the grant process, we were flooded with applications, and most of the applications were asking for food assistance, so suddenly, overnight, people were unemployed or had their hours greatly reduced. Not only did employees that are now unemployed need food, but families needed food. Children that normally received free or reduced priced lunches in schools were home remote learning without food.
We ended up having to put food into bags and boxes where previously we didn't do that. So the funds from this particular grant helped us to purchase those bags and boxes for that. In addition, you'll see the red conveyor belt behind me. That conveyor belt expands and enables us to pack boxes while keeping people safe and properly distanced.
So we have a lot of residents who use public transportation. They're older and it's not safe for them to be out during COVID. And so, we had to really kind of shift and say, how do we provide those meals and get that stuff to their door? The funds from United Way were really important and allowed us to be able to move in that direction and meet those needs.
Those first emerging needs were around food and keeping your house clean, your business clean. Then it went to, oh my goodness, I'm out of work, I need rent assistance, I can't pay my utility bill, I thought I'd be reemployed by now. And so our funds kept growing thanks to corporate matches, thanks to individual giving, and we were able to up the grants and provide that critical service at a critical time.
This funding, along with a few other grants we got, allowed us to add an entirely new service to our organization. So last year, at this time, we had helped 0 families specifically avoid homelessness. This year, in 2020, we expect that number to be more like 65.
One thing we learned right out the gate is that this pandemic does not discriminate, and we realized immediately from the outcry from our students the extra support that they needed.
When COVID started, it was terrifying. All my financial resources were immediately cut off, which of course nobody plans for. And it was then that I got the notice from Front Range that they were offering this opportunity. So the emergency grant at that time provided my rent for the month, so I was able to stay in my apartment, which is huge.
On April 20th, the Northern Colorado COVID Response Fund distributed an additional $334,000 to Larimer County nonprofit agencies working to address these evolving needs in our community.
As the Foundation and the United Way made our way through the grant-making process, we saw incredible applications come through our door. Businesses and nonprofits were collaborating to work together to meet the immediate needs of the citizens in the community.
We worked with a number of manufacturers that were producing electronics. We were able to provide them with an opportunity to pivot, to create new products that weren't electronics, but rather were PPE and respirator masks. And that allowed them to stay open and keep their people employed. And then the really cool part was that it didn't just stop there. We also were able to donate those products that the manufacturers created on to nonprofits and essential services that were still operating in our community during the COVID crisis.
It was crazy times when we went into stay-at-home orders, and knowing that we're a 24-hour shelter and that people in domestic violence situations, that they would absolutely need more help. So we were able to use funding to purchase things like plexiglass shields, so that we could still meet in person, face to face with people as needed. We also purchased a new phone system that has the capability to do more remote advocacy and more remote counseling that we do for our clients.
Here in Northern Colorado, we're so lucky to live amongst incredibly caring and generous individuals. When community needs arise, our community steps up. Individuals, businesses, corporations, and foundations all contribute the most that they can, whether it's through their time, their volunteerism, their dollars, to make sure that we can take care of each other, take care of our neighbors during this great time of need.
Thank you to all our community members, volunteers, and donors. Together, we really do make this community stronger. Please visit us online and find out how you can get involved.